Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome, Government House, Yarralumla. Dawa Nuna, Dawa Nunawel. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, emerging leaders, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders gathered here with us this afternoon. My name is Paul Singer, and I'm the Governor-General's Official Secretary. And as this badge signifies with its cross quills, I'm also the Secretary for the Council of the Order of Australia, the body which makes recommendations in the General Division of the Order to the Governor-General, who is both Chancellor of the Order and the Principal Companion of the Order. And I'm also the Secretary of the Australian Bravery Decorations Council, the body which makes recommendations to the Governor-General for bravery awards. Before we start the ceremony this afternoon, I'd like to acknowledge among our distinguished guests, Brigadier James Davis, representing Chief of Army, Air Vice Marshal Glenn Bratz, representing the Chief of Air Force, Ms Kerry Hartland, Director General, Australian Secret Intelligence Service, Mr Peter Rawdon, representing Commissioner of the Australian Public Service, Lieutenant Commander Des Woods, representing the National President of the Order of Australia Association, and a great pleasure to welcome back Major General Paul Simon, the former Director General of Australian Secret Intelligence Service. Welcome all. The Australian Honour System provides a wonderful mechanism through which we as a nation can recognise and celebrate ordinary people who do extraordinary things. Since its inception in 1975, almost 400,000 people have been recognised for their meritorious, bravery, military or national service. And the Order of Australia is the principal means of recognising outstanding service, and it's important to note that nominations come from all areas of the community. Anyone can nominate. Today is a special day, not only for the recipients, but also for their friends, their families and their communities. It's a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievements and service. My Government House colleagues and I are privileged to play a small role in the recognition and celebration of that achievement, and we look forward to making this afternoon an occasion that you'll all recall with pride for a long time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand for the arrival of Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley, and then please remain standing and join in the singing for the first verse of the Australian National Anthem. The investiture will then begin and proceed in the order listed in your program. After I read their names and their citations, the recipients will enter from the doorway on my right, and after they've been invested by the Governor-General, they'll leave via the central aisle to take up their seats at the back of the room. And it's at this point you might like to show your appreciation with a short applause. At the conclusion of the ceremony, the Governor-General will say a few words, and then after that, I'll invite the recipients to join with Their Excellencies out on the state entrance stairs for an official photograph. And at this time, I just invite other guests to remain briefly in this room to assist with the departure of Their Excellencies and the recipients. So, ladies and gentlemen, please relax and enjoy this very special occasion. Would you please stand for the arrival of Her Excellencies the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Mrs Hurley and the singing of the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth of toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land, the mountain nature gives, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
Good afternoon, and I join in the very warm welcome to Government House this afternoon here at Yarralumla to acknowledge our recipients in the Australian Honours and Awards system and to congratulate them on their contribution to our country. Begin though, of course, by acknowledging that Yarralumla sits here on the land of the Ngunnawal people. If you're a Canberran, you'll know how beautiful this part of the country is. We've got the Brindabellas out to the west there, Namaji down south, the Murrumbidgee, the Molonglo. It's a lovely part of the world, and we thank the Ngunnawal people for looking after it for us for generation after generation, pay respects to their elders past and present, and particularly be mindful of our responsibilities to the younger generation at the moment, whose future is critical to our country. Again, the warmest of welcome. Today is a very important day, of course, in the life of our recipients, their families and friends, but indeed our nation. We're acknowledging today people who, across a broad reach of areas of expertise, professional endeavour, community work, have done extraordinary things to advance our country internationally, nationally, and at the community level. You'll notice there's a degree of pomp about the day, and everyone's dressed up in their finest uniforms in the military, and the House is spick and span. I hope you won't find anything that shouldn't be there when you walk around. But that is as it should be, because this is such an important day. But it's also a day of celebration. Please relax and enjoy the occasion. As Paul has mentioned, our Honours and Awards system was introduced in 1975 to replace the Imperial Award system. It has, I believe, one possibly unique characteristic compared to other Honours and Awards systems, and that is it is not a top-down system. So what do I mean by that? Ours is not a system where elites in Canberra or any other capital city look around the country and say, Bill, Bob, Jenny, Paul are doing a great job, I'm going to present them a medal. Every person in the general division, the civilian division of the order, who comes through this door or a similar door at any other government house for an investiture ceremony has been nominated by their peers, nominated by a fellow Australian. That is the only way you can be recognised. I want you to bear that in mind as you look at the breadth of awards that people are invested with today, presented with, because I'm going to issue some homework after the formal ceremony. And so you need to be observant. Could I particularly again thank the family members who are with us today. I know that not one of the recipients would be being acknowledged today if it wasn't for support at home, particularly from partners. I've been at this game for a long time and I know how it works. So I want to say thank you to all of you. This day is about you as much as it is as the recipients. To the recipients themselves, there is a natural sense of humility. About 100% of the people who walk through that door will say to me, I don't deserve this. I just do it because it needs to be done. I don't do it for the recognition, for a medal. Well, that humility is delightful, but today set it aside. You are allowed to boast, but not brag. This is your day, so please accept that the country is saying thank you and wants to acknowledge you. At the end of the ceremony, we'll go outside to get to know each other and to share in what is such a very important occasion in the life of the country. Indeed, as Linda and I travel around Australia, seeing people on their darkest days and to some of the best days, we can honestly say we experience and see a richness of spirit in the country, what we term here a richness of spirit. And today is a microcosm of that richness of spirit. It makes me a real optimist for our country. So please enjoy the occasion, relax, acknowledge our recipients, and as Paul has told you to, and we should enjoy the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of his appointment as an officer of the Order in the General Division, Mr. Peter Jennings, for distinguished service to the development of strategic and international policy and to public affairs. Mr. Jennings is a highly influential strategic policy expert who has advanced public debate on issues relating to national security, defence, cyber, policing, border security and counter-terrorism. In his role as head of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, he created an influential think tank that plays an important part in contesting prevailing views and enables expanded advice to be available to government to assist in decision-making. Additionally, he has enhanced our reputation internationally by increasing Australia's voice on defence to a wider audience, and has been prominent in the development of our perceptions and policy relating to China. Previously, he served in senior positions in the Department of Defence, where he ably advised on complex and challenging issues and was instrumental in initiating and developing the US Marine presence in Northern Australia. Mr. Jennings' achievements, work ethic, and strong professional reputation are most noteworthy, and we thank him for his service. Mr. Peter Jennings, appointed an Officer of the Order. Appointed a Member of the Order in the General Division, Dr. Michelle Potter, for significant service to the performing arts in a range of roles. Dr. Potter is arguably one of the most prolific writers and researchers on Australian dance, from ballet to contemporary forms, and from reviews to archives, journals and books. As a founding curator of the Australian Dance Collection at the National Library of Australia and the National Film and Sound Archive, she helped to expand the dance-related collections of those institutions and was a significant contributor to their oral history collections. She's also served as President of AusDance ACT and an advisor to the national body, and has been an avid promoter of rising talents and a keen judge of the Australian Dance Awards. Dr. Potter's exceptional knowledge and understanding of dance history, both in Australia and internationally, and her strong advocacy of that art form is to be commended. Dr. Michelle Potter, appointed a Member of the Order. Appointed a Member of the Order in the General Division, Dr. Michael Tedeschi, for significant service to medicine, particularly to people with drug and alcohol dependency. Dr. Tedeschi has been involved in the discipline of drug dependency and general practice medicine for over 30 years. He has been a key member of the now Canberra Health Services Alcohol and Other Drug Services since 1985, where he's worked with clients with a wide range of drug and alcohol issues. His contribution to medicine has continued through education roles at the Australian National University's Medical School, and he's also responsible for resident medical officer and registrar teaching on alcohol and drug matters at the Canberra Hospital. He's continued to contribute to the addiction field through the presentation of research papers at national and international conferences for medical professionals. Dr. Tedeschi is held in the highest regard by his peers and patients, and he has provided outstanding service to the health of our community. Dr. Michael Tedeschi, appointed a Member of the Order. Appointed a Member of the Order in the Military Division, Wing Commander Kerry Hollings, for exceptional service in major international engagement, strategic recruitment development, and professional military education reform for the Australian Defence Force. Wing Commander Hollings gained international acclaim through her work on the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation's Afghanistan National Army Trust Fund. As manager of the fund, she facilitated monetary donations for the $850 million trust from 23 donor nations, which formed a key component of the United States and coalition forces' transition in Afghanistan. Subsequently, as Air Force's recruitment liaison officer, she developed the role with Defence Force recruiting to improve Air Force outcomes in regard to candidate and processing issues. In her role with the School of Postgraduate Studies, she reworked training systems to maintain Air Force professional military education with minimal disruption throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Wing Commander Hollings' range of achievements reflect the values of our Defence Force and the calibre of its personnel. Wing Commander Kerry Hollings appointed a member of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Ms. Carol Bunyan, for service to community history. Ms. Bunyan can be considered as the leading authority on the Dunera Boys, the history of 2,200 German and Austrian and mostly Jewish men who were deported aboard the transport ship Dunera from England and interred in Australia in 1940. The deportees included musicians, artists, philosophers, scientists and writers. And following their release from internment camps in New South Wales and Victoria, some chose to remain in Australia and make a significant contribution to our nation's economic, intellectual, business and social life. She has undertaken research over 12 years to compile information on each of the deportees and has co-authored 2 seminal works which have detained this important part of Australia's wartime history. Ms. Bunyan is deserving of our recognition for making this remarkable chapter in our history better known. Ms. Carol Bunyan awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Ms. Lynette Doppler, for service to education and to the community. Ms. Doppler has been a key innovator in education reform. Her early and pioneering efforts in implementing restorative justice practices in schools has helped to inspire an entire generation of educators. Restorative justice encourages behaviours that are supportive and respectful and puts the onus on students to be accountable for their actions and to repair any harm caused. As principal of Rozelle Public School, she introduced these practices and within a short period of time, the behavioural conditions at the school vastly improved and it became the school of choice for parents in the area. Ms. Doppler's commitment was such that she worked with children, parents and teachers to ensure that children who in other schools would have been expelled remained at the school and were given the chance to thrive. Ms. Lynette Doppler awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Dr. Ian McCrossen, for service to dermatology. Dr. McCrossen has had an exceptional 40-year history of service to medicine and to the community, first as a general practitioner and later as a specialist dermatologist. He has served in a range of professional medical roles and has provided specialist skin services to the far south coast and the Monaro regions since 1988, and in his position as a staff specialist at Liverpool Hospital since the early 1990s. He is also an honorary dermatologist of the Royal Flying Doctor Service and has been an active member in the Australasian College of Dermatologists for decades, including as president. He's been instrumental in driving the college's work in Indigenous health, establishing the first Commonwealth-funded dermatology training positions for First Nations doctors. Dr. McCrossen has demonstrated extraordinary commitment to the provision and expansion of dermatology care throughout his long career. Dr. Ian McCrossen awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Ms. Susie Reed, for service to community health gender advocacy. Ms. Reed has been a pioneer in the areas of diversity and inclusion and supporting gender equity. As Chief Executive Officer of the Women's Health Goulburn North East, she demonstrated incredible passion for women's health and issues faced by women in rural areas. She also served as co-chair of the Victorian Gender and Disaster Task Force, which was instrumental in driving change in the emergency management sector and the broader community. Additionally, she was vital in securing funding for the Be Safe project, an important collaboration with Victoria Police and the Hume Regional Family Violence Alliance to develop a personal alarm system for women and children escaping family violence. Ms. Reed's passions and achievements have improved the lives of the people of rural Victoria. Ms. Susie Reed awarded the Medal of the Order. We move now to the Conspicuous Service Decorations. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Warrant Officer Andrew Jacobson, for outstanding devotion to duty in the field of Defence People Development. Warrant Officer Jacobson is an exceptional senior sailor who has influenced the development and careers of sailors and officers. As the inaugural Command Warrant Officer at the Australian Defence Force Academy, he skillfully engaged in formal personnel development programs for cadets, staff, and members of Australia's Federation Guard to reinforce defence values, grow personal mastery, and build resilience. He introduced the Navy's Alcohol and Drug Program Advisor initiative to the Academy to ensure early intervention for potential alcohol issues. He also established a new position as a senior enlisted member at the Academy and proved effective in guiding and mentoring personnel across all ranks and specialisations. Warrant Officer Jacobson's legacy will continue to benefit the entire Defence Force for decades to come. Warrant Officer Andrew Jacobson awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Jared Kearns, for outstanding achievement as a commanding officer of the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment. Lieutenant Colonel Kearns has enhanced Army's mechanised capability and the preparation of the Australian Defence Force's Amphibious Ground Combat Element and Ready Battalion Group. He was involved in the C-Series Joint Collective Training activity and was instrumental in introducing and maintaining amphibious competence across his unit. He also developed a high readiness culture within his unit that was called upon to support the national response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and he introduced operational changes that contributed to a reduction of daily infection rates. The achievements of Lieutenant Colonel Kearns' battle group are a testament to his dedication, leadership, perseverance, and interpersonal skills. Lieutenant Colonel Jared Kearns awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Warrant Officer Sharif for meritorious achievement in training development and remediation of the intelligent sailor workforce in the Royal Australian Navy. Warrant Officer Thiers excelled in workforce development role for the Navy's Intelligent Sailor Work Group. She identified the need to address both the retention and training of the intelligent sailor workforce and the need for a cyber employment stream to meet the Navy's growing contribution to cyber warfare. Between 2017 and 2021, she reduced separations and significantly increased the actual workforce size from 165 to 268 by developing a systemic approach to recruitment. Her achievements provided exceptional value to Defence by retaining corporate knowledge, skills, and direct savings of $24 million through reduced separation costs. Warrant Officer Thiers further demonstrated her excellence in workforce development by establishing a new cyber stream to satisfy the growing demand for dedicated cyber skills in Defence. Warrant Officer Sharif Thiers awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Manning, for meritorious achievement as Headquarters Joint Operations Command representative in the Integrated Project Management Team for General John Baker Complex Capability Assurance Project. Lieutenant Colonel Manning, as the sole Joint Operations Command staff member working on infrastructure, has been pivotal in developing Joint Operations Command's inaugural strategic future plan known as Plan Mura. His focus has been on the General John Baker Complex project, which seeks to guarantee the future security accreditation of Australia's only Joint Operations Headquarters. As the Chief of Joint Operations representative on the project's integrated management team, he ably developed the Command's first ever Joint Capability Needs Statement. He fostered strong relationships to cultivate solutions for short notice, complex requirements, and his dedication and flexibility were evident throughout his contribution to Plan Mura. Lieutenant Colonel Manning's achievements will continue to benefit the Joint Operations Command well into the future. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Manning awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal. We move now to the Meritorious Service Awards. Awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr. Toby Kane, for outstanding public service to the public health as Executive Branch Manager, COVID-19 Response Branch in ACT Health. Mr. Kane was the operational lead for COVID-19 Response Branch in the ACT. He admirably led the COVID-19 response team as the pandemic developed, and as rapid changes to test, trace, isolate and quarantine rules placed high pressure on his team to meet short deadlines. He was integral to the development and implementation of a quarantine program to safely repatriate people to Australia, and he managed a strategic coordination with the Commonwealth Government to ensure the ACT was prepared for COVID-19 outbreaks in residential aged care. Mr. Kane also guided the ACT to be the first Australian jurisdiction to embed a mental health service in the public health response, and a national review cited our system as the best in Australia for the mental health of people in quarantine. Mr. Toby Kane awarded the Public Service Medal. Awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms. Sarah Norris, for outstanding public service in reforming the national medical stockpile processes in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Norris joined the National Medical Stockpile Task Force to manage the implementation of the Australian National Audit Office's May 2021 review of the COVID-19 procurements and distribution of stockpile item report recommendations. She reformed the processes for dispersing items with an entirely new delivery system capable of handling volumes of items never before attempted by the Commonwealth. In January 2022, more deliveries were processed in 1 month than in the entire previous history of the stockpile, and this was made possible using the new delivery system. Ms. Norris, through her achievements, ensured that protective resources were delivered directly from the Commonwealth to health services, including every public and private hospital, all residential aged care facilities, and every Aboriginal community-controlled health service. Ms. Sarah Norris awarded the Public Service Medal. Awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms. Catherine ONeill, for outstanding public service to health services as the Chief Operating Officer of Canberra Health Services. Ms. ONeill has provided a structured ACT-wide clinical response to the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, she demonstrated vital leadership through the coordination of services for patients requiring hospitalisation. She also committed significant assistance to non-government providers in the aged care, disability care, and health services sectors. She led the deployment of clinical teams responding to COVID-19 outbreaks in a range of high-risk settings within the Territory, including in public housing settings, aged care facilities, private hospitals, and the ACT's correctional facility. Ms. ONeill's dedication to task and can-do approach helped to save lives in the Canberra region, and we as a community are most grateful for her service. Ms. Catherine ONeill awarded the Public Service Medal. awarded the Public Service Medal, Mrs. Jane Urquhart, for outstanding public service through sustained contribution to industry and science policy and programs to improve the economic well-being, global reputation and national interests of Australia. Mrs. Urquhart has been instrumental in repositioning the Department of Industry, Science, Energy and Resources as an engaging, trusted and highly reliable Commonwealth agency. She played a pivotal role during the design and implementation of the 2015 National Innovation Science Agenda. Her sustained leadership of the Square Kilometre Array Project and as Australia's voting representative on the International Array Project Organisation Board has greatly assisted Australia to secure this major global science asset. Mrs. Urquhart's work has also contributed to critical initiatives relating to sustaining business critical imports and time-sensitive exports to minimise disruptions to supply chains and business operations as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mrs. Jane Urquhart awarded the Public Service Medal. Awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms. Andrea Wallace Green, for outstanding public service through sustained and significant contribution to social security policy and delivering outcomes for Australian individuals and families. Ms. Wallace Green has served in a range of social security roles over the past 20 years, where she's gained a deep understanding of the social security and family payment systems. She played a key role in developing the secure and sustainable pension reforms, the Clean Energy Advance and the Clean Energy Supplement, and developing and delivering around $2.6 billion worth of support through to third and fourth economic support payments programs. Most recently, she was key to the development of legislative amendments to deliver one-off cost of living payments. Ms. Wallace Green has made a significant contribution through influencing and guiding social security policy to improve the well-being of Australians. Ms. Andrea Wallace Green awarded the Public Service Medal. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentations.
Now we've acknowledged each of the recipients individually. I think it'd be appropriate now to acknowledge them as a group. Congratulations to you all. Before I issue your homework, let me make a couple of observations about the order, the way it's operating and where we need to take it to. In gender equality across the board, we have made significant improvements over the last 3 or 4 years. We're nearly to a 50-50 split, male-female, in recipients of awards. We're not quite right in the balance of where those awards should be, but that work's underway. Bear that in mind when I give you your homework. Secondly, we are not representing Australia as well as we could in what Australia looks like today in terms of our population. So in terms of multicultural representation and Indigenous representation, we are still not reflecting Australia today. We are doing work here with the multicultural community and SBS and other agencies like that to improve that outcome. We'll need your support. And similarly in the Indigenous community, trying to get the right level of representation in each list each year is an important piece of work for us. I ask you to bear that in mind because your homework is you know the people similar to whom you have seen walk through the door, particularly in the general division today in our communities, in your community. Too often, Linda and I travel around the country and we're visiting organisations, visiting towns and so forth, and someone will whisper into my ear, oh, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so should be recognised for their work. So they should be, by you nominating and taking the time to gather that information. Paul will tell you how to nominate. I'm asking you to nominate. And my job, a delightful job for me, will be to mark your homework as people come through this door or another government houses each year. So please look around your community, take time to nominate people you see who are making a significant difference to the well-being of community, the nation, or Australia's international reputation. That's your homework. There's some youngsters here who don't normally get homework, but you can help them out on the day. Again, thank you for all of our recipients for your contribution. Again, can I thank the families? It's such an important contribution to our country, the role you have played. Linda and I now will have a photograph, as Paul will explain, with the recipients, but we do look forward to meeting you all outside on the lakeside lawn later this afternoon. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to assist with the homework that the Governor-General has said, I do encourage you to access the online nomination form, which is available on the Governor-General's website at www.gg.gov.au. As the Governor-General has said, it's a relatively straightforward process, and we look forward to welcoming those that have been successful through that process back here to an investiture such as this in the near future. I now invite the recipients to join with Her Excellencies out on the state entrance stairs for an official photograph. Would you please stand for the departure of Her Excellencies, the Governor-General and Mrs. Hurley.